Hi guys, my name is James and I'm here today to talk about the new product that Course Leather and Buckle Guy have just released. It's a solid brass craft blade holder, which is basically a really cool knife. It comes in a nice looking box with a great design by @dadhands, and the Instagram link is down there in the description. Go and check that out. And inside the box you'll find the blade holder as well as 2 spare blades in a tiny tube. The mechanism is pretty simple. You just unscrew the tip of the blade holder, the collarette sort of thing with the thumb screw finger rest part, slide in a brand new fresh clean blade, screw it back up and you're good to go. It's as simple as that. It's a gorgeous brass handle, solid brass. It's written on the handle. It is solid brass and it has that nice brass weight to it, which if you've never tried it, you'll really be surprised. The design is beautiful by its simplicity, and big props to Buckle Guy for not adding their logo so as to not overcrowd it all. The whole idea of a blade holder like this is that you can change the blade pretty much instantly whenever you need a fresh blade, meaning you've always got access to a razor sharp blade. Number 2 craft blades are also insanely cheap, and they come in a plethora of different shapes and variances, so you can definitely find the one that suits your needs best. So before giving you my thoughts on this knife, let's go ahead and make something with it. And obviously if you want to build this along with me, you'll find the PDF template down there as well. It is free to download on my website, printable on A4 size paper. So there is no reason not to go ahead and print it out and grab a copy for yourself. So let's get building, and I'll be back just after that for my final thoughts. First of all, go ahead and print out your pattern on A4 size paper and check that the pattern is at the correct size using the sizing guide. For this build, I am using neodymium magnets, which are 5 centimeters long by 1 centimeter wide. But they're very strong magnets, so you must be very careful when using them that 2 magnets don't meet. I specifically chose this build because I wanted to test out these blades on these rounded angles. I must say that so far so good. This is my first time using number 2 craft blades, and for the moment I can definitely see why people like them. For this build I'm going to be using some nice vegetable tanned leather. It's quite supple and more supple than I'd usually have, which is why I want to test it out here. I'll be lining it with some goatskin leather in green, so it should make for a nice contrast. First of all, go ahead and trace out your pattern on the back of the leather. The combination of the straight blade at an angle like this and the heavy solid brass blade holder means that you're cutting through this leather without having to use much or any force at all. There you go, I've got all 4 pieces cut out. Now this next phase is a bit tricky as it requires putting the magnets opposite each other, so I really can't get it wrong here or the whole thing is doomed. First, let's isolate 2 magnets. Make sure the whole piece is covered in glue. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to try and make sure I don't forget which face is which, and basically lay them out like this. And then cover them with neoprene glue as well. Rinse and repeat. Go ahead and cut 4 strips in your lining material which are larger than the actual pattern. Cover them in neoprene glue. Now very carefully select your first piece. Place the lining material on top of it and go ahead and press down. Use a bone folder to go ahead and press the lining material in place. Repeat this operation for all other pieces. To trim the goat skin to size, simply place your piece against a ridge like this, like my cutting mat, and very carefully, slowly trim along the piece. To punch my holes, I'm going to be using something that you may recognize, quarter leather stitching chisels, as well from Buckle Guy. I reviewed these stitching chisels in a previous video, so go ahead and check out the link in the description for that if you're interested in knowing more about them. Now, since my leather is quite thin, I think I'm going to go ahead and just push them through. Obviously, the fact that there is a magnet in here is not helping things, as it's pulling the chisels to and fro. There we go. Very small hole on the underside, but that's perfect. For my stitching, I'll be using this 0.55mm polyester thread. Once you're all stitched up, go ahead and use sandpaper to make sure those corners look slightly better. In my case, I am using 120 grit. The goal here is try and sand back the leather until you get a really nice joint between the top piece of leather and the lining on the inside. Once you're satisfied with your sides, go ahead and bevel and burnish. As you can see, the goat skin here is so supple, it's not wanting to bevel quite nicely. It's not as neat as I would like, but as it's on the inside, I'm not too worried. For my burnishing, I like to use a mixture of toconol and water in one of these empty pump marker pens. I'm using a 100% cotton rag to burnish. So overall, this knife is gorgeous. It works flawlessly, lives up 100% to its promise. It is a great system for #2 craft blades. And if you are using a #2 craft blade, knife holder handle, blade handle, whatever it is already, then this is a great option for you. Having that extra weight out of the brass really helps you have more precision and strength in your cuts, and it just feels nice to use in general. I have another brass knife and the review I've done on my channel for that. You can go and check that out if you want, and you can see how that ages. And that brass knife, it has a blade that you can take away, but isn't necessarily meant to be disposable. And the reason I'm mentioning this is also the reason why this knife by Quarter Leather may not be for you. Now, let me explain. I, for one, love sharpening knives. I get a lot of satisfaction out of getting a razor sharp edge in my knives and maintaining those edges, but that also means that I need relatively good and therefore expensive knives to get good steel. So maybe D2 steel, for example, is like a hallmark of great steels out there, and I like that. But I also like knowing that if I need a quick knife, I can grab an X-Acto blade, I can grab a box cutter, I can grab a craft knife very quickly and know that that blade will be insanely sharp out of the box, more or less. And so I am in between two worlds of loving great knives and loving taking the time to sharpen knives, but also completely understanding people who don't want to go through the hassle of doing that. So depending on which way you sway, this may or may not be a knife for you. But then again, if you have the extra pocket money, just go ahead and treat yourself to it. It's a really cool little tool to have around your shop, and I can't wait to see how the brass is going to age. In the meantime, guys, I really do hope that this video has helped you, and if you want to go and check out some more cool products by Buckle Guy and Quarter Leather, they made some great stitching irons which I definitely do recommend. So yeah, go ahead and check out this video here. Enjoy.